Hi everyone, I'm here at Small Data SF by MotherDuck, and I'm super excited to have Stephen here, who's the CEO and co-founder of database Tycoon.
That's right.
Stephen, welcome to the Ravit show. It's your debut. Super excited to chat today. Just for our audience, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Tell us more about database Tycoon. What does it do?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, thank you for having me on the show.
For sure.
So Database Tycoon is a data consultancy. So I've been working as a data consultant for a number of years now, and I've got to see a lot of change happen in this industry and follow along on the tools as they've changed and stuff. So I try to take all that experience that I've built over the years and bring together a little team, and we're trying to make good outcomes for a lot of great companies out there.
That's fantastic. Stephen, just looking back at your time at Brooklyn Data and now running your own consultancy, what's the biggest shift you've seen in what clients actually need from the data engineers? If you can share a little bit about that, would be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I go to a bunch of conferences, like I know that you do, and every tool at every conference is always trying to, say what they're working on and say, what's the new best feature.
Yeah.
And I always get so excited about those, but sometimes when I talk to clients, their problems are not always that different from how they used to be. They still worry about cost, they still worry about ease of use, efficiency, all these things. And so whenever I come to a conference and I learn about new features, I do my best to try to translate back to my clients and say, here's how a lake house is actually going to help you in your day-to-day life.
Right, that's so true. When we kind of look at so many tools, and it's also not only about the shiny objects that these data engineers want. They want tool that can actually solve the problem. So I feel Database Tycoon helps them get to that step as well, which is great. I'm kind of also curious to learn a little bit about in your work with companies as a consultant, what are the patterns you see repeatedly that tells you that data team is set up for success versus headed to trouble? Can you share a little bit around that as well?
Yeah, I think at a high level, when I'm working with a client who has someone on the team, whether they're a head of data or they're a finance person or a marketing person, someone has to care about the data. And someone really has to understand that getting the data process right will have a big outcome for the whole business. And I can advocate for that as much as I'd like to, but unless I have someone in the team, in the company, who can hear that message and share it and expand on it, that's when it really starts to become a successful project, I think.
Love it. Those are fantastic insights. Stephen, one more question. Since we're here at the Small Data SF, and we've heard today at the keynote, Joe talking about, obviously, the shift, Jordan talking about small data and its importance. I'm kind of also curious to learn what's the relationship with MotherDuck and why you excited about small data?
Yeah, I think that, in Jordan's talk and in all the talks I've heard this week, they're making a very good point that most data has been small. Since the beginning. And, we had these great cloud warehouses that came out and everyone got all excited about them, but it was, big data, big compute, and many people realized that they're just kind of burning, cloud hours all the time on spinning warehouses that they don't necessarily need. So MotherDuck and the work that they're doing with the DuckDB Foundation, they're really setting up these tools for the real workloads that real teams have. And it makes it easier for me when I can say, you can do the same work, but for cheaper and faster.
Yeah, that's so true. And yes, from the talks that we've heard, and also I've been following MotherDuck for a while now, and small data has been at the center, and so many enterprise leaders kind of also feel the same, where it's not only just about the big data. Why is no one talking about small data? And here MotherDuck comes and talks about it. So which kind of also creates a great impact. I'm kind of also curious to learn a little bit about how do you see the data world changing now that AI is part of about every conversation. What do you think about it?
Yeah, we live in the AI age now, and we have to figure out what that means altogether. And I think we're in this phase where everyone is doing a lot of experimentation on their own, trying to figure out what works well and what doesn't. And I'm just excited to hear from people and their experiences and try to understand, what patterns are going to stick, what tools are going to stick, and
true.
actually make a big impact on our workflows.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I love it. Stephen, one last question for you. For those who wish to learn more about Database Tycoon, if they want to reach out to you, your team, what are the problems you all are solving, and how can they reach out to you all?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find out more about Database Tycoon, please check out our website. We are at databasetycoon.com. We are on LinkedIn too. We post a lot of great stuff on there.
Nice.
And overall, I'd say that if you have any concerns about your pipeline, whether it's a desire to add a new data set or to fix something that was already added but maybe isn't quite working the way you wanted, or even if you just want to have a chat and talk to somebody about your data problems, give me a call.
Stephen is out there to help you for sure, and the Database Tycoon team as well. Stephen, such a great conversation here. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for sharing great insights. Thanks for giving us a quick insight into what customers are thinking, what these enterprise leaders are thinking, and why small data is also a very important part of the ecosystem. But Thanks for doing this. We'll keep the conversation going. Definitely looking for a 2.0 session very soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for joining us today.